Good morning, everyone. What a great turnout for a Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We're going to be talking about daily habits today. We're going to be talking a little bit about vision today. We're going to recap that a little bit. We're going to talk about goal setting. I'm going to write several things here, and we're going to finish the day about finishing with those questions that we ask in our open houses and showcases, because everybody seems very interested in that. So we're going to start today by talking about vision. What is our vision for our future? We're just going to kind of recap that just for a moment. Since the very first class that we've had, I've had several around the room to email me, text me, talk to me about their vision, their plans for their lives, and some changes they have made. I've heard everything from, I remember one agent, she said, it's time to get back to the basics. I used to do these things. My numbers were better then. And so she was getting back to the basics and even coloring her maps. I've had others say, I'm started rising earlier and I get so much more accomplished, or I just feel so much better about my day. I have some with audio books on their phones, so you can always feed your mind with something positive. I've had others that are working on their notebooks, going back through all their leads. You know, so this just had a pretty good impact around the entire building, seems like. But I will tell you, it's had an even bigger impact on me in putting all this together. It's changed the way I look at life. It's changed the way I look at my business, my family, everything as a whole. So, but talking about vision to begin with, it has changed me from the inside out, you know. And so when I sat down the 4th of July and started writing out what I was going to talk about that first class, I didn't have a clue that just sitting with pen and a piece of paper talking about the black metal lunchbox, that it would change me so much just writing that little brief story, and then it have such a big impact on the entire company. So I did, guys. I set my goals years ago, and I kept my vision out in front of me, and I just kept moving forward. But it was my vision that kept moving me forward. I had one agent to even say, or a couple of agents said, I don't know what my purpose is. And that's okay. I don't know what my purpose is. But you close your eyes and look at your life 5 years down the road. I asked a class of new agents that are in training right now. She had no idea I was going to ask her this question. I said, why are you here? She quickly responded, and that's the way it should be, guys. That's where we need to get to in our heart, is I'm here to provide additional income for my family and put away for college education. She was looking 16 years down the road. She knew her why, she knows her purpose, and it can be that simple. Why am I here? Why do I get up each day, and why do I do what I do? So when we were talking about putting these share shops together, I have to admit it was taking me way outside my comfort zone. I've never spoken in front of a crowd before, and I never imagined I would be doing that. And then when I committed to it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? And you talk about getting outside my box. Of course, we do have another box today, and we're going to talk significantly about stepping outside our box. I had to really step outside my box to go over these 3 topics, because this is not who I am or who I thought I was, but it was Kristen that brought it to my attention. If you don't mind me pointing out just for a moment, I was thinking about life's purpose, and my family, we all know, has been my purpose and has been my drive these years. But it was Kristen that sent me. She had no idea what she was sending me. Last Monday night, she sent me a text. The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. I had just came in from a bike ride and was thinking about purpose, and felt like I had even an additional purpose in addition to my family, and she summed it up right there. And I look back at that text, and I look back the last time Kristen and I texted, February 13th, 2015. We don't text each other, but she just went with her heart right then and sent that, and it left a major impact on my thought process. The gift of life. You know, the meaning of life is to give your gift away. And so throughout this process, I think I found a gift that I didn't know I had, which was the gift of encouragement. you know. So I am thankful for this whole entire process. But let's get back to vision just a little bit again. So keep your vision in front of you. Everybody, I'm sure, has met my Franklin. You know, I keep Franklin with me up on the shelf. I just brought him today for a prop. There's something I'm going to be speaking out about that. But your vision will drive you to your future, guys. It will help you prioritize your day, which is very important. If you're wanting to go to the next level in life, you need to look at what can I do better. When I was putting my presentations together, I walked away from the first one and said, okay, that was good, but I knew I could do better, but I did the best of my ability that day. Bobby sent me an email and said, great job, but I didn't feel like it was a great job. The next one I made a little bit better. I looked at my presentations the same way as I look at my open houses and my showcases, the opportunities that are in front of me. I step away and think, what can I do better? And that was the key to my success these years. What can I do better? What can I make better? How can I perform differently? If I've got these high goals in life, I have to look at what I did during that open house and showcase and try to make it better the next time. And I've been trying to do that with these share shops too. What can I do to leave a lasting impact on you and your lives? So if you're looking to go to the next level in life, think, what is the best way I can do this? My current abilities are great, but could they be better? Could I come along beside someone that's had the level of success I would like to have? And maybe mirror some of the things that they are doing, incorporate into my own life. If I've got some pretty big goals out there, you know, meet up with others that may have had the success and that has the lifestyle that you would like to have. So you have to really do this, guys, in a couple of different ways. The biggest one to me is protecting your mindset, because your mindset will determine your destiny. You know, what is my mindset when I get up every day? You know, is it positive? Is it negative? Our mindset will go like this throughout the day. Will it not? Depending on the circumstances we are confronted with. So if the first habit I could say is, you know, in addition to looking at your vision and your goal every day, is what is my mindset when I'm walking out this door? You know, that is very important to protect your mindset. And I protect my mindset in several different ways. And I think the biggest way that helps me is feeding it with positive information, you know, reading. And there's different things you can do to read, guys. It doesn't have to be necessarily a book, which I think is great. There's books on audio, there's YouTube videos. You can feed your mind with positive information from everywhere. But I think the biggest thing I think is help me with my mindset is getting up in physical activity every morning. You know, starting my day with my workout as I've done for over 20 years. And so the physical activity that I start with, when I get off my bike or I finish my workout, I think, okay, it brings mental clarity. I've got this. I can do this today. And I want to show you a picture right quick, you know, about kind of how the day begins. You know, I start my day right here, and if you look at this photo right here, for everybody that can see it, you know, when I get off that bicycle right there, look at the bookshelf behind it. And I a lot of times look at that bookshelf and say, I've got this. I can do this today, no matter what comes before me. If you'll notice, there's a lot of crystal on that bookshelf. Who was at the 2016 awards in May? Or for 2015? I a lot of times look at that and think, okay, I've got this today. And I look at my vision, I look at my goal, where I'm heading. And even on that bookshelf that you can't see is little photos of my snapshots of my kids, and most every card they've ever given me is on that. So I get off of there and I think of my vision immediately. But protecting your mindset, guys, is very important. I was faced with this yesterday while in the airport. No, Saturday while I was in the airport. Yesterday I was home. So I was sitting in the airport only to get settled in, and they tell you there's a 3-hour delay. Now, where's your mindset going? Oh, gosh, a 3-hour delay. Only to be sitting there a few more moments. I'm sitting at the end of the aisle. So I thought, I've got a 3-hour delay. I've got things I can be working on. You've tried to put your mind frame in the positive mindset. There's things I can be doing with this 3 hours. These 4 little ladies come up beside me because they were planning to board their plane, and they have to walk right around me to get onto the plane. One is in a wheelchair. And she said, she's sitting inches from me because they parked her right beside me, and she said, we finally get to go home. And I said, where have you been? We've been to Washington, D.C. to pray for our country. Now, she's wheelchair bound. She's been stranded for 3 days and could not get home. They flew back into Nashville only for Southwest to have their issues with their computer systems. Each flight got canceled, couldn't find hotels, and her attitude was, even though they couldn't find hotels, all 4 ladies, the one hotel they did find, had to stay in one room. She's wheelchair bound, but her attitude was, we had the most joyous time. Wow. I mean, I've got a 3-hour delay, and she had a 3-day delay, and she said, I had the most joyous time. And so she said, we did things we never would have done. So that taught me a lesson right there. You know, it's just protect your mindset. Your mindset can take you down here. You know, it's a little bit of disappointment, discouragement, or your mind can take you over here down to a path of success. So I will always remember that moment that we shared yesterday, guys, and her telling me we had the most joyous time. That was just one of those Kodak moments, you know? So again, protect your mindset, look at your goals, figure out what you want in your life, and go make it happen. You know, you got to think about, what is the one thing I can do for my life today to make my world a better place tomorrow? What is the one thing I can do for my health and fitness? What is the one thing I can do for my spiritual life? What is the one thing I can do for my family? What is the one thing I can do for my career? What is the one thing I can do for my finances? You know, what is the one thing? Let's put up that photo right there of the one thing. I created this board, and it was very helpful for me because I'm checking off a lot of to-dos so easily and you don't forget them as much. This was just helpful for me. I had one agent to text me a photo of how she created one of her notebooks. But the one thing I can do for today in those areas of life, the things I should do, and the things I must do so that things don't fall through the cracks. And I try to shift those should-dos over to the must-dos, you know. But the must-dos are the things that have to be done today. You know, if I'm trying to get to the next level in life, keep it as much as possible and that is important. Prioritize what's important and put it in that must-do list, and be determined to succeed. Go out with a mindset today. My results are going to be matching the efforts I put in, because you will get out of life what you put into life. You will get out of that open house and that opportunity of what you put into it. So, but yeah, that was very helpful for me in creating that. Talking about opportunity and not letting opportunity pass you by, guys. It's so important to approach each day to something like, okay, you know, how can I best make the best of every opportunity out there? And we're going to show a brief video of this. It's a little bit strong, but there's a reason for showing this. What do you notice? What do you notice in the back behind this young man? A lot of books, guys. You know, that goes back to feeding your mind with positive things. And this young man's only 14 years of age. And let's watch it real quick. I want to talk about this video.
Let me answer a very commonly asked question. Why are some people poor while others aren't? Now, despite what you may think, poor people are poor not because of the government, not because of their education, not because of where they grew up. Yes, those things may have a small factor, but the real reason why poor people are poor is because they pass over opportunities repeatedly. That's what poor stands for. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. You ever seen people that wake up and they say, oh, it's Monday, I just hope I can get through Monday. And then they get to Tuesday and they're like, oh man, it's Tuesday. And then they get to Wednesday and they're like, okay, it's Wednesday. You know, not really that great, but it's hump day, so we're getting close to Friday. And then they get to Thursday and they're like, all right, one more day till Friday. And they get to Friday and they're pumped up. Yes, it's Friday. I just have to get off work. I just have to get out of school, and it's the weekend. And then they get to the weekend, they party the entire weekend, have fun, do whatever they want. And then they get back to Monday. Oh, it's Monday. And then they go through this cycle. And they're constantly just trying to get through their life. They're trying to get through this obstacle called life. You know what? I have this message for you guys today. Stop treating life as an obstacle and start treating it like an opportunity. Poor people are poor because they're passing up on this opportunity called life. not just financially, but also spiritually, relationally, and physically. If you want to be wealthy in all of those areas, don't pass up on this opportunity called life. Life isn't something you have to do. Life is something you get to do. So take it in. And don't just breathe, but also live. Because guys, if you don't live life to the fullest, you're pretty darn foolish.
Wow, pretty powerful statement. He and his dad have the Caleb and Matt show, and Andrew sent me this. But what did I get out of this? I think about the opportunities I've let pass by. Even, let's just say I'm on rotation and they ask, and it's a Friday, they ask, and say it's 2 o'clock on a Friday or 3 o'clock on a Friday. Angela, will you take an unassigned LPP? What am I going to do with that? I'm thinking, I was planning something different on Saturday. And, am I going to do it to the best of my ability? Am I going to do this right? Or am I going to say, no, I can't? Or I'm on rotation and we've all got this one, for instance. Angela, you're up. Got some folks visiting Orlando. They are from Ohio and they just wanted to come up and see what the Villages is all about. Do I have my vision and my goal in front of me? What am I going to do? And I've been guilty, guys, of praying, thinking, oh gosh, I'm up. Maybe it's just a temporary ID, because my mind was set on what my agenda was, when that might be the next person I could say something to change their lives forever. And something I did will help me reach my goal just by doing something for them, rather than having the mindset of I've got better things to do, or being out in an open house or showcase. Darlene and I was in one briefly last week, and I started my probing of questions, but sometimes it's easy to get in that mindset of, oh, it's the neighbors next door, or they're just around the corner. We had one of those that walked in, but I went ahead and continued the probing question, what, and I did. I said, where do you guys live in the Villages? Pretty much. They just had that walk, that simple, comfortable walk when you're watching their body language. They lived here. I continued to ask the probing question, and we learned pretty quickly what her dissatisfaction could potentially be. Is she wished she had the 2 closets rather than the one in the Sunkist. She wished she had the bougainvillea with a shower. And they've almost owned their home almost 1 year. So, continuing those probing questions, like, okay, they are the neighbor from around the corner, but by continuing asking those questions, you learned quite a bit from these people, did we not? Another couple walked in and pretty much predicted they did not live here, just by their walk in the door, too. And the question I asked, how is the search for the right floor plan coming along? Just simple. Because they just had that look. And he said, oh, we are all over the board. You know what she said? No, we're not. It was so funny. No, we're not. We've determined it's the lilac. I go to the next level. Okay, it's the lilac. Is it because of the price point? Absolutely, it's the price point. The lilac fits our price point. Well, tell me why you like the lilac the best. See, I'm going, why? And she told me why. I learned that she had a daughter that would be visiting. She wanted her to have her own private space. My next question, I'm not satisfied there. My next question, well, why did you choose the lilac over the sunflower or maybe the begonia? We're really not for sure. But I continued the whole process, and I gave her 2 or 3 homes that maybe they should look at. There was an iris at 252, and there's a lilac on Pickering with a 2-foot extension on eye. Did we not build rapport right there, like we knew our inventory? So yeah, it's important of how you have your mindset when you walk into that open house and showcase, because you have to be determined, guys, to be a success. If you're wanting to go the next level in life, you have to have a vision of what you want life to look like 5 years down the road. You have to have a purpose when you go out there each and every day. This weekend, I had the opportunity to share a pretty big moment with my family. I flew into Nashville. I ordered my home in Franklin, Tennessee. Yes. Then I went straight from Franklin, Tennessee to Coleman, Alabama, which is where my mom and dad lived. And I spent the evening with them. Spent the biggest part of the day was Saturday with them, and took them to breakfast well, I spent the biggest part of the day Friday with them and took them to breakfast on Saturday. But it was Friday when I was with Mom and Dad at lunch. I asked my dad, because I always know the topic he likes to talk about. I asked my dad, do you miss being in the coal mining business? He said, I miss it every day. And I'm thinking, yeah. I'm like, really? He said, I miss it every day. I miss everybody I worked with. But I will tell you what I don't miss. And then that story left a huge impact on me. And this was probably only a 5 to 8 minute conversation, but he said so much in 5 to 8 minutes, and I learned so much in 5 to 8 minutes. He said, I'll tell you what I don't miss was the times I spent crawling in 31 inches. Can you imagine that? He wasn't 36, it wasn't 3 feet. He was very specific. The times I spent crawling in 31 inches. And what did I do? I had a strap around me like a harness, belted to a wagon, kind of like the red wagon you kids used to have. He said, but my wagon had dynamite on it. Thinking, okay, my job was to place the dynamite, get back to the battery, and shoot it off. I don't miss that job. And I'm thinking, wow, and the vision I was painting in my mind, he said, there was another job I don't miss either. And he said that was shoveling the coal out from underneath the conveyor belts so that the carts could continue to keep moving. He said, but I was determined to do it better than anyone else, because if I did, the foremans would notice me and I'd get a raise. You hear his purpose? You know, I would get a raise. I was determined to do it faster than everyone else. I was determined to take less breaks. He said, I was determined not to look at how much coal I had to shovel. I just looked at this one section and I kept moving, moving. When I got done, I took a longer break because everybody else was taking little short breaks and it was taking longer to get it done. He said, I did get recognized by the foreman. I did get a raise. But it was also important to me to get the safety award, he said. Not only was I protecting those around me, but I was getting paid to do it because I got a bonus. He was so proud of all of that. But do you hear everything he said? He had a purpose, he had a vision, he had a goal. He wanted an extra income for his family. And listen to his drive and determination made me really see myself in a different light too. It's like, I so get me now, you know, because I know where I came from, you know, because like I said, guys, in that few moments, he said so much, and I had so much more respect even. I thought I couldn't go any higher, but had even a higher level of respect for my dad and what he did all those years. So, but he had a determination. You need that same type of determination in your own lives if you want your lives to be different 5 years down the road. You have to be setting your goals and looking intently at those on a regular basis, on a daily basis. You know, you have to look at your appointments. You have to, we're going to talk about goal setting. You have to look months out. What do I want the end of the year to look like? What do I want the end of next year to look like? What do I want 5 years from now to look like? So in talking about goal setting, I was thinking about that this weekend, and we're going to skip down to that section about goal setting. This is in the One Thing book that we've got from Gary Keller, and it made so much sense to me talking about the someday goal. So I wrote mine out this weekend. I thought, what is my someday goal? You know, I guess if I'm looking way out into the future, I'd be looking at financial security and retirement. Just as that new agent was looking at college education. And if I looked at more of a 3 to 5 year goal, I wrote that out. And we'll put that one up there, Jane. And we're going to look at the 3 to 5 year goal would be that lake home I hope to have one day for all this growing family of mine. If I looked at a 5 year goal, is to own a lake home that we could all go to for vacations and holidays, weekends. And so I found that online and just found a picture of something to keep me motivated. And I put that on my vision board. So and then if I break it on down and I looked at the 1, maybe 2 year goals, I wrote this out. And I'm looking at a 2 year goal. I think of my daughter because I helped my youngest daughter get through college and paid for her college education. This one decided to go a different route, but she has what it takes to own her own business. So I want to do one thing for both children that I would do for the other. So I have a vision. I've shared this vision with her of her own salon and clothing and jewelry, and together I know we can make this happen because I'll be determined. You know, I think she'll just do so much better in life being out on her own, and it'd be a great way for Mom to come along beside her and maybe mentor her through the process of owning your own business. So my Megan would be my 2-year goal of helping her to establish herself in her own business. And if you get down to the 1-year goal, what we're doing, guys, is backing into our goals right here. 1-year goal. This is where I struggled right here a little bit. What is my 1-year goal? Yes, I have ordered a home. And, but other than that, it's a little bit blank because I have ordered a home. I am going to Franklin, Tennessee. Have I found employment? I've got to at some point start looking a little bit more into that, seeking employment with the right setting and the right people. So I have got to put the effort together to start my research. You know, where am I going to be working once I get there? But so that is something I'll be working on this week even. So 1-year goal, and then you need to break it on down to the 1-month goal. I'm going to break this down to 1 to 4-month goal, you know, and I'm going to break it down for me as far as income, because I went over my budget by $54,000 when I ordered my home last week.
Just like your customers.
Exactly. And so I've got to pay for that. I went over my budget by $54,000. What is that going to do to me the rest of the year? I'm going to put my feet back on the pavement, and I'm going to go earn that back. That's motivation, guys, right there. So, and then you break it down to, I guess, the one day goal. What am I going to do today? You know, and what do I want to accomplish by the end of the day? And then you break it on down to the now. What do I need to do right now? So, and it goes back down to ending your day and making a priority list of what you need to do tomorrow. You know, that has been so helpful for me, is to be writing down at the end of the day the first steps I need to take care of tomorrow, because when I got up this morning and went to my computer, I had so much of that knocked out by 6:30 a.m. and it just freed my brain space, you know, so I can go out and be more productive today. So we're going to move on now to those questions. Well, what's going to help us reach our goals? Let's take an opportunity, the open houses and showcases, for instance. I'm going to start there because those same questions can be asked in every opportunity, and it is the why. Whether it's lifestyle preview guests, whether it's a walk-in, whether it's a phone opportunity, the why is the most important question you can ask your clients. Why? Why are you thinking of making a change? Why are you thinking about buying another home? Why? When I was in Tennessee on Thursday morning, I had been up several hours already, and I arrived there at 10 o'clock for my home order. The company had done some great things. There was several good things that was absolutely just right on. But the most important things were quite off. You know, they were off several beats. And I walk in the door, they had this chalkboard and it said, "Welcome, Angela." Walk in the design studio. I thought, wow, that's kind of cute, you know. But I walk in and the design team host greeted me, and she said, or someone greeted me, and she said, "You've got a few minutes to look around. Ashley will be ready for you in a few minutes." So it gave me time to look at the selections, and I'd done my homework before I got there because they gave you a book to go by. But when I met with Ashley, she told me her name, and she said, "Okay, let's get started," which is great. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get finished. So we started, and she had her laptop on her arm, and she had a file with her. But not one time through the process did she ask me, "Why are you coming to Franklin? What do you plan to use your home for? Why did you choose this particular neighborhood?" So she went straight into the mechanics of ordering a home. It felt like I had walked into a doctor's office and I was having a series of tests done, really not for sure what the results would be. What did that leave me with? That is not how I want my customers to feel when they walk into an appointment with me. And so yes, she went deeply into the mechanics. I thought, okay, get beyond this, you know, I'll make it my own pleasant experience. And throughout the process we did, in a 2-hour span, we made it a great experience. But what she didn't know is 2 days before that, when I was talking with another company called Interactive Solutions, when he called me on the phone to talk about where I wanted my cable outlets, because we were doing this by phone rather than in person, and where I wanted my surround sound, I got on the phone. He said, Angela, my name is Earl. And he says, my job today is just to get to know you. So in getting to know you, I will know better how to place your cable outlets and what you'll be using this home for and your surround sound system. What brings you to Franklin? And we went through each and every room. What are you going to be using this room for? It's like, wow. I mean, he set her up for failure kind of already, because he asked the important question, what brings you to Franklin? You know, and that just took all the walls, I mean, because you're spending quite a bit of money here, guys. That just took all the walls down because he cared about me. He asked questions about my personal life. He asked questions about Franklin. He asked every answer I gave him, he asked more questions. Man, he and I, that worked for me, because that's exactly how I do my open houses and showcases. That's exactly how I treat my customers. And but anyways, it's turned out to be a beautiful process, and I was able to go from there to share it with my family after that. But why is the most important question you could ask your clients. Why are you here? Why are you in this open house? What do you hope to accomplish? When do you hope to accomplish this? And how do you plan to get there? So we're talking about the why, and then you go to the what. Where? When? And how? And I even thought of another one. What would you change? What would you change? What is it about your current home you would like to change? And then the would. What would you change this time compared to your last time? So first it's determining their why they're in front of you, figuring out what kind of home they're in if they already live here. And we can role play some of those questions, because I kind of moved through this rather quickly, guys, because this right here is kind of important. The goal setting is very important. I want to open up the floor to conversation. And so Lena and I might do a little bit of role play just here for a moment. But when you think about that client that's walking in the door, you greet them, of course, but then what is the next step? You know, that's where everybody seems to struggle. What is the next step after that? You determine if they're a permanent residence or a part-time. Do you guys live here? If you could change anything about your current home, what would it be? What are some of the upgrades you've put in your home since you purchased it? And it's amazing what they'll go through and they'll tell you. And you take your pen and paper, guys, and you start writing that down. You show that you are listening to them and you're listening intently to them. If you could change anything about your current home, what will it be? That will take you to where they're going. Well, when thinking about purchasing another home, would you pick the same floor plan again? That's the would right there. Would you pick the same floor plan again, or would you purchase something different? Tony and I saw this last week in one of his showcases. I asked these questions rather quickly to a gentleman that is Judy's customers, and I said, because he told me exactly, and I was very direct, he told me exactly what he would do differently this time. I asked him, I said, well, would you pick the Ivy again? Well, no, I would pick the Sarasota. And he went straight into his details of his dissatisfaction with his home just by asking these questions. You know, and you're going back to the why are you thinking about making a move? Or that LPP guest. You know, what is it you like best about the Villages? What does the Villages have to offer that you currently don't have in your life? You know, and then they'll quickly start telling you why they're here. Where? Those who already own a home here in the Villages, well, if you thought seriously about moving, where would you move to? Again, I'm taking a little bit of passive. I don't want them to put up walls, because it's so easy, isn't it, guys? When we start asking these probing questions, they start putting up their walls. You know, and thinking about possibly moving, where would you want to move to inside the Villages? And then you ask them the questions, well, when thinking about making a purchase, would you purchase a pre-owned home a new home, or would you like to build it? And of course, you have written down their dissatisfaction with their current home if they already live here. But if this is a second home person that they're only here part-time, you can critique these same questions for them as well, but just in a different format. But you start with, what would you change about your home if you could? You know that most likely they're in a courtyard or a patio villa a lot of times, and they're now ready for that 2-car garage and just a little bit more space. But yet, possibly they're still only going to be here part-time. But with those part-time agents, I asked, what would you change? Trent and I was in a Whispering Pine one day, priced at $228,000. So I sat back before I went to that showcase, thought about, what type buyer is going to be in that home? I'm going to get that analytical. Really, if you're in a Whispering Pine priced at $228,000, what type buyer is going to be in there? Courtyard villa people. You know, people looking at the same type price point. People that live in cottages, for instance, now they're just looking for a little bit more space. They need that 2-car garage, and it was spot on. Most everybody that was in there were owned a home already. Now they were looking for something just a little bit bigger. So what did I do to prepare for that open house, that showcase? It's Trent's showcase, but I did my preparation just as if it was mine. So I got up and I looked at surrounding homes on the mapping system. Guys, know your inventory. And it only took me a few minutes to put this together. Lenny does it differently, but it works for him. But I spent a few minutes putting this together, and I thought, what are the surrounding homes in the same type price point? Found a wisteria out there at $209. Because if somebody's looking at that price point, it's like they're looking for some of that same square footage. I'm going to find like kind inventory to talk about. I'm even going to email it to myself so that it's quick, easy reference. Makes you even look like you know your inventory a little bit more, because you can quickly go back to that. So, but I looked at I looked at the courtyard villas. How many of those I still have with 2-car garages out there? I did not, in this particular case, did not pull a couple of home sites to talk about. I did not in this particular case. Now, if I'm in a larger designer and folks are walking in the door like that Sarasota Tony and I were in, I'm going to have 3 home sites. Isn't that right, Tony?
I was blown away by the preparation you did. I saved the email. I'm still blown away by it.
Yeah. And it's just kind of just this thinking forward, you know. That's exactly what we did. Is I prepared for his showcase as if I was hosting the showcase. And by preparing for his showcase, and I wasn't the one hosting it actually, it pulled the pressure off, because I wasn't out there. I didn't think I've got to get a lead today. I've got to have those 2 contacts. So I just freely talked to everybody, and it just made it so easy. But go ahead.
I don't know if you know this, but I sold a premiere to the folks that I was talking to when you came in because of the preparation that you had me do. I swear to God.
Awesome. Awesome. That makes my day. That is exactly the whole point of these share stops. No, when I saw you sold the premiere, I didn't know how the lead come about, but I did. I started sending him.
The price to build and all that we went out there, but we ended up buying one of the ones that were already out there that was based on that. I actually knew premiere stuff, which I did not know until you told me to do that. I was scrambling around going, oh my God, where do you find this stuff in the K-Drive?
Yeah. And so what I did to prepare for his showcase, I looked at my home sites, of course. I looked at the Sarasota we were in. I pulled 3 home sites so that we could talk about those very quickly with some private settings. And then I told him to go to the K-Drive. I even emailed him. I said, print off from the K-Drive and put it in a file the pricing guideline, just so that you can go to it, reference, and talk about the cost of building. And I just went through several scenarios of how I would prepare, and thank you. That just, you know, so anybody got any other ways that you prepare for your open houses and showcases?
I kind of do the same thing. I do the maps in the morning, but I had a nice scenario yesterday where I was doing the villas. Well, I found out we only had 3 left in the neighborhood. I knew exactly what the models were. When somebody came in, they said, we really love this model. And I said, do you only have 1 of them? I said, no, we have 2 of them. And they said, oh, we didn't know that. Now, granted, they were working with someone else, so it was great, but we were able to let them know that the 2 that they could choose from, they ended up buying 1 of them.
Awesome.
So
Very.
I knew my inventory was wonderful.
Something that, even though we do our showcases different, there's one thing that you and I are exactly the same on, and that is that you go into every one of them knowing, not hoping, there's someone coming in here that wants to build a house or buy a house.
Exactly.
And that's why we do the work we do. We're not hoping someone's going to come in. We know somebody's coming through that door today that wants to buy a house, so I want to be prepared for that person.
There you go. It goes back. It's your mindset. It goes back to what I thought about this yesterday. Time, energy, and effort. I don't like my time wasted. I like to see results from the energy I put forth. And I certainly don't like feeling like I didn't put forth the proper effort to help me reach my goal. Because I look at it like this: how much money did I leave laid on the table today? Because I did not prepare. So yes, it goes back to time, energy, and effort. What do we want to get out? What we get out of it, what we put into it. So those probing questions is so important. And then you take your follow-up, guys. Follow up, follow up, follow up. What if we have all these leads in our notebooks and then in the AS400, and just by that board I created, I've got several names on that board that, if they're just out here, you just forget about them because your day gets a little crazy and hectic out there, and it's only going to get more hectic as fall approaches. So we have no better time. We have such a stage to prepare today. This is dress rehearsal, guys, and of course during this dress rehearsal we're going to get things out of it. No better time to prepare for the future than today, and think about how can I improve my skill set. So, but yeah, we are in dress rehearsal, but whatever's going on, you have to put it in its proper box. That's exactly right. Even goes back to the worry box, put everything aside, and what's most important is that person in front of you. And follow up on your leads. So if you've got leads strode around, guys, go back through those. Joanne showed me Thursday her notebook and how she went back through her notebook. She had rewritten everybody. She said, look at all these buyers. She was astonished. And if you look at that way you can break your sales down into quarters. I like to break it down into quarters. I go back to, and she was showing me all these people, and I guarantee you we all have all these people that we need to be getting back on the phone with. We spent time with these people, and we spent lots of energy on these people, and we've put forth some significant effort. But in talking about that, if you think about this, it's like, how do I increase my numbers? First, of course, we've definitely preaching on mindset today, but how do I increase my numbers? Looking at my lead base, how would I like to finish July? We've got a few days left. But looking at my lead base, how many sales according to my lead base and according to the opportunities I have in front of me coming? Open houses, showcases, lifestyle preview guests, phone opportunities. How many would I like to make for August, and break it down into August? And then I like to look at things in quarters, because Rosalba asked me when I brought this up the other day, how to break it down in quarters being this time of year. Well, let's just go now to September, December. My brain's moving too fast, guys, that's December. But how do I break it down September to December? We have 4 months there. How many days do we have in September through December? Is that 120 days? And if we break that down, it's like, okay, if we're determined to go out to our appointments and our opportunities each day and walk away each day with 2 quality leads. It's possible, guys. If we take 2 quality leads out of each and every day for 5 days, we've got 120 people to follow up with. And then if you break it down, if you could sell 1 out of every 4, look at your numbers and see what that is. Look at what you want your end of year goal to be. But first, look at your purpose and your priority every morning when you get up, your why, and think about, am I preparing for my day to the best of my ability or the best it can be done? Well, if I want to go to the best it can be done, what have I got to do to change? Yeah, so, just like going to the K-Drive and looking up stuff before you walk into your open house and have that printed so you can use it as reference while you're standing there from 10 to 10:30, maybe even 10:45 before the first person walks in. There's all sorts of things you could be doing during that time frame while we're waiting. And even talking about reading positive materials, all sorts of things. What do I want, just start here, what do I want my end of year goal to be? Could anybody willing to share what you would like to, how many homes you would like to sell for the next, between now and December? Anybody got any clue? And if you don't, think about that and then start prioritizing your actions to make that happen. So, but we're going to go to our list right now and talk about those habits that lead to better results. And this really, guys, to me is how to make more money in less time. That is the way I look at this, how to make more money in less time. It comes down to time management. I protect my time I protect my time very, very much. You know, I prioritize my day. I run my day. I've said it over and over. I'm not going to let my day run me. I'm not going to change gears unless I've got a blank spot. But I protect every minute of my day because time is money. But I also, you know, going back to the reading inspirational materials, I noticed when I was at the airport Thursday morning, I had 3 books with me. One from Dear Darlene. I had 3 books with me. I have yet to pick up this book that I don't get something additional out of it. I have not gotten there yet. I mean, but I've got so many pages turned down, highlighted and everything. But then I've started my next book, guys, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, Brian Tracy. If you're not a reader, he has all sorts of YouTube videos out there. It's worth checking into. Talk about feeding your brain. I noticed so I had not only goal setting and your priorities, I also had protecting your mindset and thinking differently. But then I had the spiritual side of it, thanks to Darlene. I've gotten a lot out of this. What I read yesterday was right on cue with yesterday's sermon at 9 a.m. Be still and know that I am God. And so thank you, Darlene. But I was sitting there in the airport, I thought, I've got all 3 areas of my life that helps me get to the next level in life. So feeding your brain is very important. Whether you're into exercise or not everybody is, but when I was in my 20s, I guess I was 26 when I had my last back surgery, and the doctor told me how important it was then to keep myself in a good physical condition because I would have more issues as I aged. It was that right there that made it part of my lifestyle. Every day it's part of my lifestyle. I'll never forget the conversation. Why do I not forget the conversation? I never forget the pain I was in during that time period. And even as a teenager, I struggled with significant back issues then, even a preteen. So you just don't forget those things. But it's the physical activity that has increased my mental endurance. It has increased my ability to stay focused. It's increased my ability to not let the emotions go like this, because this business can do this to you. I was forced with another situation yesterday. It was about what is my mindset going to be. Some of my clients, we all have had clients like this, I'm sure, from time to time. It just seems like nothing I do is good enough for them. And the harder I try, the worse they make me feel about that. Nothing I do, the more things I do, it's just, there's more things you can do. And it was really affecting my psyche after I read one of their emails yesterday. And I thought, nuh-uh, I refuse to let this happen. And I refused to answer the email too, because I picked up the phone call hoping they would take my call, because I wanted to come over and sit down and chat about it face to face, because things could get misconstrued. I wanted to hit it head on so that I could get back to the world of, keep my mind in the positive world rather than it weighing me down. They didn't take my call. They didn't, and I didn't answer their email until I had time to step away from the situation. Because if I might have answered their email right now, it might not have been as eloquently put as it should have been. So I stepped away from it. I sat down, and my brother and I spent some time this weekend, and then we got together and we was watching this comedian, Jeff, is it Jeff Gorman? There's a comedian out there. We were just rolling. So I went to YouTube and I turned that on for about 10 minutes. Changed my mindset altogether. It's like, you know, this is not that big a deal. So I just stepped away from it, and by 3 o'clock it had fixed itself. By 3 o'clock it had fixed it, and I was going there, and it was beginning to affect even my preparation for today and my psyche for today, and I just determined I was not going to let that happen. And so start by disciplining your life, guys. Discipline your life to create these habits every morning, to prepare for your opportunities, your open houses, your rotation. Everything that starts out as a discipline does not have to stay as a discipline, because after a period of time, it becomes a habit. Don't look at it as a sacrifice. No, because sacrifices can be short term. When I started setting my goals in 2013, I had to make some significant sacrifices, but I knew that they would be short term. So think of it as quarterly, and then go reward yourself for those sacrifices that you've put in. Start by prioritizing your day. prioritizing your work life so you can prioritize your family life. I know a lot of you have young children and families at home. Isn't that right, Chris? But you go back to your time management and your time blocking and prioritizing your day, you will find you will have more time with your family at home, but just by making a few minor changes. Everybody knows my lunch box that I carry with me every day. That is so important, especially in season, to take something with you, not only for food and drink, but just something that you can just pull away to the side right there, because if you do not take something with you, you run wide open all day, you go home and you make the wrong choices, and then your body just falls. And then you just cannot do anything more, even though you know you need to do a few things more. So just minor little disciplines can make a big difference in your life. Go out and perfect your performance. What do I mean by that? Go out and perfect your performance. When I was setting such high, unreachable goals, what I thought might be just a little bit unreachable, I walked away from every appointment and thinking, what could I have done better? Or what can I make better next time? If my goal is to walk out of here with, 2 is kind of a small number for me, guys, but if my goal is to walk out of here with 2 leads, let's just take it's October. I want to walk out of here with 2 leads per day. What am I going to have to do that? I'm going to have to get outside my comfort zone, ask those whys, where's, whens, hows, and continue digging. Continue offering third-party stories too, because when you offer a third-party story, that just re-impacts and makes them even more connected with you. But ask those questions. Is it comfortable to ask those questions? Is it natural for you? And how do you make it natural? I know. So I want to open up the floor. I would like, we've got a few minutes left. What time is it, guys?
7 minutes till.
7 minutes till. Anybody have any thoughts or anything that they've put together since the first class that may have made some changes in their lives, kind of like Tony just stated, or there's other stated things? Judy, have you got anything you would like to share?
I have basically put together 3 notebooks, one for things like this, because my problem was I had all my notebooks and I had everything in there. So if I went to a class, I started writing the class notes. So I've just separated some things off, like having one just for goals and for notes for things like this, and then having one for my customers, so it's just my customers. That's really helping me to kind of stay focused, and plus getting up earlier in the morning and planning my day out definitely is helping a lot, because I used to get up in the morning and just kind of go and not really even know what I was going to. I had appointments, but just kind of going, not doing that preparation. So it's helped me because I'm actually able to spend some time with my family too, and then block off the time and know that I'm prepared. So
Awesome.
all good.
All good.
So,
Anybody else, Tony?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You are like the queen of getting leads at open houses. I have so few in comparison, and I struggle keeping up with them. How do you get 2 leads at an open house? I mean, how do you keep up with that?
Mine is rather simplified, and I've thought about ways I can make my process better. But mine is rather simplified, and it's all in my notebooks, and I write down in the notebook their name, their address, their email, and their phone number, because I've asked for these things. According to what you shared with me, this is what I plan to do for you next. What is your email? What's the best number I can reach you at? So I put those in my notebook, and I keep those in my notebook. But when I go back and I make my to-do list, things I need to do for this particular lead, I write what I did in a different color. So, because it's a lot of ink on that piece of paper. You've got months worth of leads piling up. I write what I did on there and put a date out beside, but it's in a different color ink. So that helps me track that a little bit better. And then the 90-day thing, which Joanne has been working on, is I tear every one of them out of that notebook. I rewrite them, and I make a hot list out of that. Make a short list, because people just go everywhere. So, but yeah, that works for me. I know I need to sharpen my skills on the AS400 again, and maybe put a few more notes in the AS400. One thing I'm working on is everything stays on a big calendar on my desk, but I need to use my Outlook calendar a little bit better too, and put things on that, because that could free up a lot of brain space, because I'm always thinking of my calendar on my desk, maybe when I'm out in an appointment. And so I want to work on that too. But yeah, that's how I keep up with my leads.
Kind of keep that as like your notebook and all these leads as you're writing. You just stay there until they're either dead, or you just keep
And even when they don't answer, I just continue sending an email because I thought about them that day. Something hit the market, and you just never know when they're going to respond. One client did that last week. She responded, and actually that showcase I was in with you, they actually walked in. They didn't know I was going to be there, but they were out looking around. The very next morning we were looking at home sites. But I had sent them an email, and she asked about a couple of home sites. In response, they saw them there, and then we were able to set an appointment the next morning. But yeah, I keep on because I knew what their dissatisfaction was to begin with. It takes people time to wrap their head around it. They may tell you their dissatisfaction, but they've got things they've got to put in place, and maybe they're procrastinating the move, but eventually they come around. And if you've stayed in contact with them in their emails, and they come out in your showcase one day, and they will remember you because you've stayed in contact, and here they are in front of you again, because you will see them again, will you not? They're going to be out there combing when the urgency rises again. They're going to be right out there combing those open houses and showcases.
We use the Dream Home Finder program.
Yeah.
I mean, we put all of the customers I get from contacts go on a spreadsheet because I have an assistant who helps me follow up with that kind of stuff. And then she'll go through the list and make sure that they are getting the dream home. Now, I set up the dream home because she won't know what they're looking for. But then she'll go back to them, and maybe every 3 or 4 months, she'll try and call them. And in reality, most people are not home when you call them because a lot of people are out working or doing something. So we'll send them a follow-up email and say, are we sending you the right homes? Or, have you seen anything you like? And then once a year, we do go through and weed them out.
Yeah.
That list gets
Exactly.
just unreasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do have to weed them out. I do the weeding out. It's kind of like, okay, they haven't responded to anything. They've still haven't made a decision to move from Pennsylvania yet. Those are the ones I'm not writing a lot of notes by. Occasionally, they might just go on a kind of a mass email list. I send them something that kind of everybody's getting, but that's about it. Mm-hmm. Anybody else got any ideas they'd like to share that's working for them? If I could share one thing and challenging you in a closing is, if at one point in your career you were more satisfied with your results than you are today, I suggest going back in time, rolling the clock back, and look at what you were doing then. What was I doing then that made my results different than what they are today? Maybe you just need to get back to the basics. And getting back to the basics, Crystal was the one that said this the other day. She said, Angela, I'm getting back to the basics because I was doing this, this, and this when I was more satisfied with my career. So figure out what this, and this is that you were doing there, and look at your results you were getting out of it, and maybe just step back and start those things again. Start all over. You've got your starting point. There it is. You found your answer. It's right where you left it. And I guess in an absolute closing today, you are the author of your book, and how do you want it to be read? In all areas of your life.